All right. We're back for another episode of the Bad Ideas podcast with Natasha Nuytten. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, super grateful to have you here. As you told me before the show, you've been traversing the world the last 24 hours, so to have you on the record is wonderful. You're the CEO and founder of
Uh,
CLARA AI,
well, so we have two
co-founder?
co-founders. Yeah, we have two
Yeah.
co-founders. Kenny Williams, who's a former SVP at the Chicago White Sox. He would like me to let you know that the last 2 years are not his fault. Um, and his wife, Zoraida Samblin, who is a journalist she's badass in her own right. Oh, sorry. Can I swear on here?
Yeah, as much as you
Okay.
want.
Okay, sorry. I'll try to rein it in. I have
Yeah.
a sailor, a mouth like a sailor, as my granny would say.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, but also Zoraida, who was a morning news anchor and on CNN, and just really cool people that we got together, and they were trying to create something that was a bit of a legacy around fixing this thing that they kept hearing was like, we can't find any talented fill in the blank to work here.
Yeah.
And, they were sort of sick of it. And our paths crossed, and I really loved what they were doing. And so we kind of iterated on the thing. They had some cool women who were working with them before.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now here we are. It's been a ton of fun. So
And
technically not a founder, but definitely like right in the mix. So
building it is, I mean, regardless of what the name is, like
yeah,
taking it from zero to something is foundership.
for sure, for sure.
And I think that's the best thing when you're on a team, whether you have the title or not. Like bringing something to life is just amazing. I think it's
Couldn't
what
agree
we're,
more.
we're meant to do. So,
Yeah.
so Clara helps find people. What does it
Yeah,
do?
I love that. I'll put that on a t-shirt. Um, so yeah, we work in the HR tech space. So we work with human resource and talent acquisition teams. And we sit in like screening and assessment. So like at the time of application, we engage with candidates. And at the end of the day, we try to help teams filter in talent that they might be missing. And we try to help candidates put their best foot forward. So giving them an
So it
opportunity
works on both
to,
sides.
it does, yeah. So we
Yeah,
engage with the candidate when they apply. They get to, sometimes I'm a terrible resume writer.
me too.
And I mean, most of us are, right? So we let people like respond to questions about their resume. And then we also look at questions about the job. And then we also look at things that we think are super important that are really like, I would call them future ready skills. So critical thinking, learning agility, and what we call distance traveled, which is sort of new in the zeitgeist in the last 10 to 15 years. Probably most known for, or I should say not known for, but like being put out into the world
Yeah.
by Kapoor Capital, which is based in the Bay Area. They, as investors, really started early on, like investing in underrepresented communities and things like that, and folks who had really come further than
Hmm.
it might look on paper. And then Adam Grant recently wrote a book, maybe about a year and a half ago now, called Hidden Potential. And he was talking
Hmm.
about the distance, like really measuring success based on where a person started versus where they ended. And
Yeah.
so I have a kind of a wild background. And so for me, it was tying together like that the delta between actual and realized potential, right? Like we're
Yeah.
all born here, but some of us end up here. And like, what is it that gets in the way? And I talked to a lot of people about it. And they were looking for those intangible things like grit and resourcefulness and self-efficacy and proactivity, but like nobody's measuring for that.
And you
And
can't
but that's
screen
what
for it. Well, maybe you
no.
guys have figured
Well,
out
now we
how, but
have.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
that's how we,
yeah.
we we sort of figured out like what is it that it's not so much what you've been through in your life as it is what you've learned from what you've been through in your life. And
Hmm.
so not that the other part doesn't matter, but when you're thinking about what a person's capable of, right? Like I know you get this, a resume really just tells you what the person in the past hired me to do because that's what they needed in their company, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily tell you what I'm capable of or who I am. And
yeah.
so we really look at that, and we look at these added value skills and abilities and try to help organizations find great talent. So
There you
yeah,
go.
that was
Well,
a
I mean,
really big nutshell. Yeah.
no, but I mean, it's a huge thing. I think this is my perspective, and this is without all of your qualifications and knowledge and experience in the space. But outside looking in as someone who's hired a few people, there's so much noise in the space,
Mm,
and because social creates such a warped perspective on like how much you can earn and what jobs pay for those things, there's like bias in every direction. There's bias
mhm.
from the person screening, there's bias from the candidate coming in, and it makes it really hard to find a match
Yeah.
because there's so much gunk in the middle. Neither one can see what the other side truly is. So
Yes.
if that's what Clara is doing, like creating a bridge and allowing that to be visible, that's a critical thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It is really noisy. And I also think we've sort of entered this age where technology is like, it's amazing until it isn't, right?
And
Um,
annoying.
and annoying, yes. And what's happened, I think, for a lot of people, especially in talent acquisition, as they are trying to do right by the people that they're bringing into their organizations, and
Mhm.
they're trying to not just be seen as order takers in their organizations, but like really driving the bottom line, because that's what talent does, right?
Mhm.
um, Unfortunately, technology's made it really hard, because now everyone just uses AI to write a resume and they all look the same, and you can't
Yeah, it's just
tell.
chat GPT to
It's
chat
just chat
GPT.
GPT, and there's like
Yeah.
bots applying for jobs. And like sometimes, like we had somebody, they, between three jobs, they uploaded 8,000 resumes between three jobs in the course of like 3 days. There's there's no team on the planet who's looking at 8,000 resumes equitably and consistently and giving every single person that comes through the
Yeah.
funnel like the same attention. Like that's just not possible. So for us to be able to like take the technology out of a black box and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for, but then like use really intelligent and ethical like AI to be able to do some of the match and like going
Yeah.
beyond that resume. It's just been a super fun journey. And um, the next step is blowing up the resume, because I think we just need to do something entirely different. So we're
Yeah.
working
What's
on that
next?
too. Yeah.
No, what's next?
Yeah.
Can you tell
So
us, or is it a secret?
yeah, no, no, no. Actually, we're kind of working on it now. We have our V1. We're working on V2. Really looking at more of like these profiles that really like help people identify their constellation of skills and like what their strengths are and growth edges, that is useful to them, but also useful then to the company, and like what comes next, right? Like if I want to move in that direction, what do I need to learn? How do I need to grow? If I want to stay
Yeah.
on the path I'm on, what's the best way to do that? And so really looking at like what what's useful about a resume, because it's technology that we're all still using, but like what's the actual part that matters, and then what can we do differently to really like paint a picture of who the human is that comes into the process. So
Yeah.
yeah,
A new view.
a new
And from your
view.
perspective, that's going to be super valuable. Um, can I throw you our first bad idea for the episode?
Yes.
This isn't our bad idea. This is my bad idea for this
Okay.
listener.
Let's do it.
But are you familiar with like blockchain and cryptocurrency at all?
Enough to be dangerous, but not enough to actually solve anything. Yeah.
Can you guess where I'm going, or do you want me to throw it at you?
I would love for you to throw it at me. I could
Okay.
guess, but I would love for you to just throw it
All
at me.
right.
Yeah.
So if you're reinventing the resume,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the big problems with the resume is the incentive is all on part of the job platform
Mm-hmm.
to like have that information because they're monetizing it. But one of the
Mm-hmm.
beauties of blockchain is you can allow people to monetize their own data.
Yeah.
So if you create this thing and give it to the candidates
Mm-hmm.
and actually charge companies to access their contact info so they can see the character, they can see their experience, you guys have validated it, but
Mm-hmm.
you make it monetizable, then you really create a movement that could be pretty special.
Yeah, I love where your head is. So actually what we do now is we're engaging with candidates at the time that they apply, but we
Mhm.
invite them to create a profile on our platform.
Yeah,
And we're still really early, right? Like in that, because we're iterating on what that profile looks like. But
yeah,
for anybody who's like an early adopter, they get to be a part of like what would be useful for me in building this. And so that community gets to engage with it, and then they get to own it. And what we hope
that's
to
the
be able to
dream.
do, yeah, it's not blockchain, so it's not like that encrypted or anything, but what we hope to be able to do is create a place where it can grow and evolve with you. And then we
Yeah,
can use that profile, you can just submit that to companies for in lieu of a resume. So we're really
Yeah.
trying to get people to think a little bit differently, but also companies for us to be able to say, hey, we've got these 5 people in our community who would be an amazing fit. They don't even know you've got this job out in the world. Like, can we send them your way? Right. So it's sort of a win-win on both sides, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, you're already tokenizing it. Like you're making it something modular that it can reuse. I think what the block does is it turns it into like an actual solid asset that they
Yeah,
can use. That's a,
I might need to
that's
do
a,
a little research, Nick.
if you put a tweet out saying you're considering that, you'll get like 5,000 Reddit bros to write to you and say, I'll help you build it.
That may
Change the
be
world.
that may
Change
be
the
my
world.
next project.
All
I
right.
love it.
One other, before we look at our real bad idea, you
Yeah.
mentioned your crazy experience. How much can
Yeah.
you share?
Oh, well, I won't bore everybody. But I
No,
will
that's why we're
say,
here. We're here to talk to you. Please bore
well,
us.
thank you. I'll try to not to be too black and white here, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was always interested in sort of everything, and my solve for that when I was a kid. So I do have to acknowledge, being born in '76, so I'm almost 50. I was like 100% a child of the era in which I grew up, which means that like the only black people I saw on TV were Cliff and Claire Huxtable
Mhm.
and the rest of the Cosbys, and so or like on the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
So I was either going to be a doctor or a lawyer because those were the two roles. But what was so interesting to me is that I was interested in everything, and so then I was like, well, I should be an actor because then I can do all the things and get paid to learn all these things. I was a terrible actor. I have no poker face, and I can't get in touch with my feelings. I couldn't. I guess I can now. Or maybe I'm too in touch with my feelings. Maybe that's the problem. I don't
Yeah.
know. But in any event, because of that, I was always really interested in like people and how they grow and change and evolve. Like that's been a through line for me: education, learning, um, sort of like taking on new challenges. Like I really love like solving hard problems, and I'm really comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I started I started my career, like I spent 15 years doing mentoring and sort of family work, and I worked in schools and organizations, did like community norming and
Mhm.
grassroots policy and advocacy kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved working directly with people who were like trying to find their way, right? And I gotta be honest, middle school kids are totally my jam. Like they're so awkward and weird. Like it's
Yeah.
my favorite phase. Too many boogers in elementary school and too much attitude in high school. So, but like
Yeah.
middle school's that really sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so I did that for 15 years, and then um, a snowstorm in April landed me in Nebraska, and I took on a consulting gig for 6 months that turned into like 10 years of working with
The
this company.
snowstorm?
The
Literally?
snowstorm, literally, there was like,
Wow.
I was on I-80 going from Oregon to Washington, D.C., and there was a snowstorm, and I went in the ditch and I had to get my car fixed.
All right.
And
You need to promise me that when Clara IPOs, the title of your bio book is The Snowstorm Got It Started.
okay.
Because no one else can say
No
that.
one else
That's
could say that.
amazing.
It's legit.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So
Um,
10 years after the
so
snowstorm.
yes, no, so I've been here in Nebraska for 10 years now, and in the
Wow.
interim I worked for a an aesthetic physician, and so there was like a clinic and a spa, and he had started like this online e-commerce business for cosmeceuticals, and great gig. So I did that, did marketing, became the brand manager there. We started a new company, few product lines that we took from through R&D to development. We started a distribution company, like just kept starting all these new things, and it was hard, but I loved it.
Fun.
Everything
Yeah.
was a new challenge. Yeah, it was great. When it was time to move on from that, I ran a table tennis company for a year, which was also super fun. Again, just I like cleaning up messes and hard things, so that was really groovy.
Yeah.
um, and then right before meeting Kenny and Zoraida, the gentleman I was working with, he uh, he's a quant, like just a super super smart math dude, and he was working on a project for the city of Chicago that he asked me to participate in. And it was like a grants management project. And it was the first time, very frankly, that I had worked on like creating a product
Hmm.
outside of like skincare products, right? And things like
Yeah.
that. And I'm only just making this connection now. I had never really thought about this before. So I'm glad you let me like wander this path, Nick. Thank you. Um, we created a system for them to be able to assess readiness of nonprofits to receive funding and then execute against their programming and then report on said programming. So super uninteresting, like if you're not in that
But
world.
but evaluating candidacy, that's like,
It's exactly right.
wow.
So like the tie to was
Wow.
like, okay, what's your capacity? How do we develop your capacity? How do we partner you with someone who's got a skills, a skill set and delivery that you don't have? Like, so anyway, it was really cool, very hard work. I loved it. Um, and that really sort of laid the foundations for as we were making the next step about what we were going to do as an organization. I met Kenny and Zareta, and this man Robert who introduced us was like, you should be working with these people. And I was like, you are right, I should be working with these people. So thankfully we all aligned, and yeah, that's how CLARA came to be.
That's amazing. From a snowstorm. I can
Snowstorm.
see the cover of the bio and you go to back. It's all there. That's
Yeah.
super cool. But you're also, it's amazing that you're the CEO of this company that translates experience for the workforce
Hmm.
when your personal story is so relevant. Like you're not some like banker or VC that started a company.
Yeah,
Like you built a career from here to there, and now you're helping other people do the same thing. That's pretty cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, really, I'm really lucky. Like, I think that Kenny and Zareta both have that same experience too, and I think that
Yeah.
was the connective tissue. We all had something, and our stories are a little bit different in that sometimes it was somebody saw something in us that we didn't see, or it was, hey, we were close enough to an opportunity that someone gave us. It's proximity, right? It's access.
Mm.
There's just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But it's also being prepared, right? Like, what do they, what, I don't remember. I'm terrible with quotes, but like the one that's like, luck favors the prepared or whatever. Like, you have to be ready for the
Yeah.
thing. And then you have to be in the right place at the right time. And that's exactly what we wanted to do is like, we're missing people. There's just amazing people all over who are capable of
Yeah.
so many awesome things. Like, what would be how much more amazing would the world of work and business be, or just the world in general, if we like let people be their best selves and like bring all the things that they're capable of doing. So yeah, it's been super fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's an incredible mission, and you can feel your passion about it. I'm glad there was a 22-hour trip before recording this because if we got you full speed, we might be
I
like,
feel like
you
too
know,
much.
I can keep up
Yeah,
there.
thank you.
All right. So naturally, now we need to build another company. So
Yeah, so
we're gonna
let's do
look at a
it.
bad idea. All right.
I love it.
Let's see where it goes. Hopefully, there's a snowstorm in this one for you. Our bad idea for today is AI Metric Sync Meeting Blitz. It boosts ERP user adoption by using AI to monitor performance metrics and auto schedule regular performance review meetings whenever metrics dip below target.
Oof. Okay, okay. I love this
What's
because
what's the
oof.
reaction?
Yeah, I mean, right? Security, privacy, like they're watching,
Big
all
brother.
of the
Yep, yep.
things. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, what was that Tom Cruise show where he was like they accused him of murder because he was thinking about it. The hell was that called?
Oh yeah, Minority Report.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
It's very Minority Report, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah, so like the things that could go wrong with that.
yeah.
Plus, I think like just right out of the gate, I think one of the things that from a business perspective, the world of work is changing so rapidly around like what people are willing to tolerate, right?
Yeah.
So we have like 5 generations in the workforce for the first time in history,
Yeah.
and I'm like smack dab in the middle of that. And so I'm a Gen Xer, and, came up in the
Woo!
age of grunge and, like all the
Yeah.
things. Um, and what's so interesting to me is like, we're sort of on that tail end of like willing to put up with a bunch of stuff. And what I love about it is these generations that are coming after me, that are younger than me, that I work with, they're like just way less tolerant about that stuff. So like, I don't know if you could do that at a company. I think people would be like, yeah, screw off, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not looking in
Yeah.
your camera every hour. Like,
Yeah.
just, yeah, there's that. But there's some really cool stuff around like, there is some really interesting data around the biometric stuff for like in Japan, they're doing a lot of studies around like children and the way that they learn,
Yeah.
and doing like brain tracking, but like that data, like I think about those players, like who's getting this information, right? Um, so outside of that, um, let's see, losing the sort of humanity of the
Yeah.
evaluation piece is hard because I think human to human, right? Like maybe I just had a bad day or maybe I came off of a 22-hour travel day and like my energy is a little low. Like does that trigger a performance review, right? Um and I think performance reviews, a few people are doing them well. Very few, but a few of them are doing them well. What else here? There's so much where I'm like, ooh. And I love solving a hard problem. How do we
All
make
right.
that work, right?
Yeah.
Is anyway, is that, yeah, what do you
There's
think? I
more.
want to hear your, I want to hear your thoughts.
I'm gonna get weird. Do I have your permission to get like
Yes,
super weird?
as weird
All
as you
right.
want.
I'm I'm a super geek and I'm a data guy, but I also like connecting things that shouldn't have anything to do with data to data.
Awesome.
Um, and you must be familiar with Myers-Briggs because of
Yes.
your business. Are you familiar with human design at all?
No.
So, like zodiac signs and like each
Oh,
sign has a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
personality type attached to it, and whatever.
Okay.
Like, it is based on your birthday and your birth time and your birth city. Like, it should have nothing to do with like your performance in the workplace.
Uh-huh.
But I met someone what 8 months ago, and she gave me a mini like education on how all this stuff works and what it's supposed to mean. So I started like whenever we interview people, we collect their information. So I started running it through this and creating profiles based
Yeah.
on signs. And it was like 97% predictive of performance in the workplace. It was insane. But
Wow.
but the takeaway is not that we should hire based on signs because I'm going to get sued out of my life for that.
Totally.
It's it's that I never knew. This is probably stupid on my part, but I never knew that um, there's so many different ways people perform at peak. It's not all the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. So like
Mm-hmm.
for some people, like for me, for example, I work extremely fast in very short time periods. So like I'll do something that would take someone a week and a half in like 3 hours, and then I'll nap for like 3 days. Um, but it's that kind of roller coaster loop. That's just how I work.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, I've accustomed myself to being a little more steady, a little more even, but like there's a wave to it. And I found other people on our team that work that way and built structures that allow them to work that way so they can be their best. And, I think there's tons of dynamic. There's certain types of people who just steady state plow through everything. There's people who like to focus exclusively on systems. There's people who focus exclusively on
Mm-hmm.
output. And if you understand that, like where those traits are, whether you're using some kind of spiritual sign thing or your own measure, um, you can really key in on a way to make that person successful or help them be
Mm-hmm.
successful where you are. I don't know if you guys have any sort of like profile. I don't think a lot of tools today do it well. Maybe you guys do, but if you can figure that stuff out beforehand, it changes everything because
Mm-hmm.
then you have your role, you have all the requisite skill sets and experience, and you have the key to making this person successful, so you know how to manage them. And that's what came to mind when I thought about this. Like, if
Yeah.
this is setting performance reviews automatically based on numbers, like what if that doesn't align at all with how the person needs to be coached
Yes.
and needs
Yeah.
to be developed?
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. And that's not something that we're doing from that perspective. But I
Yeah.
think what you're talking about really tracks back to what I was mentioning around the students, right? Because what they were doing was tracking their peak engagement right? Like when do they need to nap? When are they hungry? When are they
Yeah.
to help like it was coming from a like how do you enhance performance?
Mm.
Um but I think you said something that's really interesting to me that I've been toying with this idea and it's still half baked. So feel free to like add an ingredient here.
Yeah.
Um, but I really do think that org charts are going to change pretty dramatically in the
Oh
next
yeah.
few years because it's going to be a little bit more like Swiss cheese in that we're going to like let people we're going to move away from these job descriptions that we've had that are very traditional. And I think this is going to be a slow process, but I do think it will come because technology is able to do so much more. And 5 years from now, it's going to be doing even more than
Way
we can
more.
possibly
Yeah.
imagine, right? Um, so, what it's going to allow us to do is do what we do best in the ways that we do it best. And so, we're going to stop building teams based on this job description and this job description and this job description. And we're going to start building teams based on like this cohort of people solves problems really well together. Right.
Yeah.
And who gives a shit what their title is? Like it's about how they function
Yeah.
as a group. So we've actually been experimenting a little bit like with that in our company. For instance, our marketing team is all contract work and we really have it split focus. Like it is we have two like for instance we have two folks who are like approximately sort of equivalent as far as like seniority and experience but like one's just really amazing and in storytelling and product sort of marketing and the other one is like demand gen but like doesn't love managing people so
Mm.
this person manages the people and so like just layering those things together and like
Yeah.
figuring out how can we can let them both be amazing um, and the company wins when they get to do that
Yeah.
and so I think that this technology like if we're trying to make it work right I think that the negative is that you have to have all that information and it's scary to see whose hands it's going to be in.
Yeah.
But like the win is that the potential then to build teams in that really interesting way could be like super significant, right? And
Mm.
as we get more comfortable with letting people work in different environments and like different hours and
Mhm.
whatever works for them, it'll be more project based versus like task oriented. And so, someone like you who wants to work insanely hard for 6 hour sprints and then take 3 days to take a nap, like as long as your project's done, like we can let you do that, right? So I
Yeah.
think there's some interesting stuff there that is
Yeah.
totally terrifying and potentially really cool.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking about with this idea, well, first let's anchor the concept. So what you're saying is, um, technology is going to change the way org charts work because
Hmm.
it's basically going to replace the value org charts have today.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, org charts are really the Henry Ford model, right? If you create a process and create a box for someone to follow the process in, you get an output. Or Henry Ford or Andy Grove, right? Like
Hmm.
IBM, same thing. Like, let's create a process, you follow instructions, you make widgets, widgets are worth this money.
Hmm.
But I think technology is going to make widgets better than we do, especially in December when Elon rolls out the Androids and we go into iRobot world. But what that also does for people that I think a lot of people don't see is our purpose is to be creative, like fundamentally to
Yes.
be creative. And whether that's creatively finding a better way to do a production function or creating a company or creating art or creating entertainment, like there's a lot of different ways to be creative.
Hmm.
And there's no way to code that.
Yeah.
As much as we call it generative AI, it's combining stuff that it knows. That's why it has
Hmm.
training data. So like now Elon's creating his own synthetic training data. That's just going to get ugly. But like it's never going to be able to do what we can do. It will never be
Right.
inspired because we have so much more sensory input. Just a tangent there. So synthesizing all that into what you said, because we have tech, the org chart and the Andy Grove and Henry Ford widget model is obsolete. Like you
Hmm.
don't need to put people into a box because machines can live in the boxes
Hmm.
and people can live either like between the machines and other people or between two machine sets. It doesn't really matter, but performing creative functions. So the next phase is like, how do we make it easy to organize all those people? And how do
Yeah.
we build a tool that can help or tech empowerment that can help managers organize people in a more fluid capacity like that when they're working kind of tandem with tech, in more fluid, problem solving or creative groups, like you said,
Hmm.
instead of functions,
Yeah,
you know?
great question. Um, I don't know if I have answers, but I have thoughts. Um,
Well, you're already solving part of it with Clara, right? Like
yeah, I
you're
mean,
creating the identity and the experience of the person. So you're
yes.
allowing companies to start hiring this way, even if they're not
Hmm.
yet, like they can start because of you,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
exactly it. I mean, so the I think one of the big shifts needs to be, again, this is why I feel like we need to move away from this traditional sort of resume that we are assessing
Box.
a
Yeah.
box
Yeah.
exactly, because what it doesn't do is assess how well we learn or how well we can pivot or use resources
Or work with others.
or work with
Yeah.
others. And so if we can hire for those things, like, so much of the rest is trainable, right? Like, and
It's
there are
crazy.
companies that have for years, like, we want to hire young people and we want them right out of college because we want to train them the way we want them to work, right? Because all of this stuff is learnable. And
Hmm.
it's just a matter of, like, are you making the investment or not? So, yes, 100%. I think that it would change it. I think to really get to that level, it does need to be tech enabled, and it's going to take a lot of data, because, if you think about the level of and the depth of knowledge you would need to have around each person in your organization, um, maybe this goes back actually to your blockchain thinking, um, is it has to they have to feel confident that that information can be used for good and not for evil, right?
Hmm.
um and so there is going to need to be that ownership of the person owning their own information, their own intel, and how I work best. There was actually a version of what we're doing now early on where we thought, okay, there's all these tests out in the world that have all this information, like, which pieces are useful for us to pull in, right? Like, you mentioned
Yeah.
Myers-Briggs or whatever color thing, and there's, like, you know, there's just a million of them. Personality U, performative index, or predictive index, all these different things. The problem with many of them, and I won't call it any names, is that they are based in bad data, right? Because they were trained and tested on certain groups of humans, and in certain cultures and in certain types of work environments. And so, one of the reasons we actually dialed into the three categories that we did, critical thinking, learning agility, and distance traveled, is because they are based on, like, universally
Yeah.
recognized constructs,
Yeah.
right? Like, learning agility is the same type of thing no matter where you grew up or what your
Yeah.
socioeconomic background is or anything like that. um Same goes with critical thinking. And so they're also, is this a word, developable? Like,
I
you
think you
can
need to
improve
patent
them.
that. I think you created something. I love it. Developable.
They're developable. It's also just fun to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so you can learn to do them better, right? So as long as you have the ability to learn, you can develop those types of skills and become and develop these experiences and attributes where you're more resourceful or you're more resilient. Now, some people walk into the world with a lot of that and others don't. Some people get it by walking through the world in the shoes that they're given, right?
Yeah.
Um, so, but all of that to say that I think the the like science part, um in this case, is actually probably the missing link, not the technology. Like, getting the data
Hmm.
and sorting through it is totally possible. It's
We just
that
don't have the
nobody's.
right data. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
but you do. Oh, well, you will.
Well, I mean, we could start
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an interesting thing.
All right.
You've
And
got it.
all this stuff is lining up.
It's
I'm
just
telling
like
you
a
that
whole deal.
that bio is going to happen. Uh,
Love
so
it.
so so our bad idea. So
Yeah.
automated meetings with your manager whenever you miss performance numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy. Um, it also creates a insane perverse incentive for the manager to not pay attention because they know you'll just show up in a
Totally.
meeting.
Yeah.
And no one ever talks about that. Like the manager has to like understand you and prepare you.
Yes.
And it usually, it goes top down, but it doesn't always go back and forth. And the best
Mm-hmm.
relationships do.
Yeah.
So I think it creates some imbalance there. But what are the good things? I'm trying hard to find something that's not like creepy.
Not creepy about it.
Yeah, like where's the
So,
value? What's the kernel?
so I think in the hands of a thoughtful and intentional manager, like that kind of data could actually be really helpful because they can't, like, I'm thinking about, okay, you've got a team, even if your team is only like 8 people, right?
Mhm.
You aren't with them all the time. And especially in this remote environment that we're working in, for you to know that, Natasha's having kind of a hard day today, like there's a lot of stuff happening. If you could see that, like in the data, that something was off, like there's a prompt to check in. So this for me is one of those places where we would have to be really thoughtful. Where I think technology can be good. Like for us, it's keeping the human in the loop. We're not making any decisions. We're giving you the data so that you can make the
Yeah,
right decision.
we're
I
keeping you close to your people. I like
That's
that.
exactly it. Like, I
Yeah.
think that the good side of it is okay, now we have enough information that we would be able to create an individualized, totally customizable training plan for Nick based on
Mhm.
what he's interested in, how he works, what we need in our company. And there would be, as a manager, even if I don't have the expertise to do it, the data would tell me how I could build that for you.
Mhm.
Um, and so it could theoretically give managers like a superpower at being, what they would need to do is be a good mentor
Ah,
versus being, a great manager.
yeah.
I guess that would be the plus side.
So it's tech that turns managers into coaches a
Yeah.
little bit.
Like
All
it could
right.
be. It could be.
We have to gamify it.
We do.
There needs to be some sort of like scoreability. So like managers are competing to see who can elevate their team faster.
To your
But
point,
that's
I love that you just said that because
mhm,
otherwise, if it's not about if it's not tied to the performance of the team and the elevation of the whole, right? Like
yeah,
this pod of people is performing better and it's just about the manager, which I think where we sit now with a lot of companies, I
yeah,
think that's the key in making like the human part of it successful.
mhm,
And then theoretically, like the company as a whole is driving towards those sort of better
yeah.
performance outcomes, right?
That's cool. So that we're talking about changing the org chart. This changes like the day-to-day routine a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
where you come in, you have your performance data across the team, but the app is automatically like adjusting schedules. Maybe it has this information. It understands how each person needs to be supported,
Mm-hmm.
and it organizes your focus for you so you can give time to the people who need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the positive spin instead of just loading up your calendar with performance review.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. And I mean, I don't. We've changed this app like instantly, but but that's the side of a good
Well, it was
product,
a
right?
bad idea,
It
so
was a
we have
bad
to change
idea.
it. Yeah,
What I like about that though is the other thing it might be able to do is like if this person responds best to written feedback, this person responds best to in
yeah.
person, like, it would be able to help you create that, sort of
Create
synthesize
the
the
right
feedback and the
check-in.
right check-in
Yeah,
for that human.
yeah.
Yeah, there's some
That's super
possibility
cool.
there.
That's super cool. I'm gonna build it. I mean,
Let's do it.
I'm actually gonna do that though.
I
I think
love
that's
it.
a great idea. I think that's been, I don't know about you, but that's been one of my biggest frustrations. Like the bigger the team gets,
Mm,
at least for me, there's a point where it gets too big for me to like be involved with everybody that I want to be involved in.
yep.
And I've fallen victim several times to trying to like impose some sort of standardized, like, I want to be close to you, but I can't do it all, so I'm going to do this instead. And it
That's
always
right.
hurts the person, like every single time.
Yep.
Like it decreases their performance because they're getting something they don't need or in the way that
Mm-hmm.
they can't receive it. And I think this might rebalance that. It kind of like takes you out of the box by doing a lot of it for you,
Yeah,
so you can just focus on making sure the touch counts as much as possible.
that's it. There's that notion that we can really only have like, and I don't know all the information, so I'm a little bit talking out of the side of my mouth here, but there's like 150 sort of touch points in your universe, is really as many as you can like really manage like well. Um, and that's just like relationships in general, right? Like you're not really keeping in touch with that many more people. Now there are unique people in the world whose capacity is much bigger. But to really have contact and connection, that's about what the number is. So thinking about that from a management perspective, um, it's very different when you're talking about like, we think about a social worker, right? Like you can only have so big of a caseload and to really be engaged with the people that you're with, right?
Yeah.
And like when I was mentoring, like I kind of the sweet spot was like 15 young
That's still
people
a
and their
lot.
families, right? But
That's
like when you get to 20 or 22, like you are at capacity and like there's stuff that's not getting done as well as you would like because you can't know that person as intimately or as well. So I am curious if we could make the app like that sort of two-way check-in, right? Like it's interesting for the other human too. Um, I think what's really cool about this idea, though, Nick, is that like one of the things that's really hard about hiring people and building teams is for that individual to understand the direct sort of impact that they have on the organization, right? And
hmm
we all want that. We all want to be a part of something where we know we made an impact. And so I'm curious if in all right, so we've just created this performance review thing and we've turned it into something else, but I'm curious if it can also then track like the project team and what the team accomplished for the organization so that it circles back to, and I'm biased, right? I'm coming at this from a HR perspective. um, how then can we sort of give credit where credit is due to those individuals, like they're
hmm
performing in this way, and so you could start to track how those touch points and
Yeah, I
their
mean that's
process connects back. So anyway,
that's
there's
old school cascade infrastructure. You just set up their priorities and track how they deliver against them, and is it above or below or right on.
yeah,
I mean, it's always a mix. You know, it's always a mix. But
yeah,
sometimes there's like, that's my favorite part about working with a team. Like, you'll be super frustrated with somebody and be like, how could they miss this? And then you check in with them and find out they totally crushed it on this other thing. And you're like, okay, I get
okay,
it.
yes,
There's always both. There's never
hmm,
just bad or just good.
yeah,
And this could make that visible. But I think the change here, we're building an app that manages the manager.
yeah,
Like as much as this is a performance app, I think the intent of our bad idea was to manage the people, and we're changing it to like organize how the manager supports his team
I
or
think
her team.
so.
I think that's cool.
I think I like it. Like I said, I like hard problems. So this is a how do we make that
If
interesting? How do we make that like palatable?
if if I
Yeah,
build this app and I call you and ask if we can partner, would you take the call? Would you be like,
100%,
all right. So that's a
100%.
thumbs up. That's a
Yeah,
thumbs up.
that's a thumbs up for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to be co-founder of that one though, because it
Okay.
was kind of mostly your idea. Um,
Definitely not.
all right. Well, this is super cool. I think we went on a couple journeys. We started with yours, and then we like totally ripped up this really scary Big Brother idea. And but we also talked about a changing hiring environment. I think
Mm,
like as much as AI is changing the world, it's going to make us fall in love with people again, and we're going to realize that like we haven't done enough to
yeah.
bring ourselves together. And I'm really pumped to be connected to you, who's kind of fighting that battle, which is the bigger one.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate connection really deeply, and um, I do think that I think you're really right that the way that technology, and we've seen this historically, right? Like when something changes, suddenly we have fire, right? Suddenly we have wheels. All of those things, when they are used to make humans better and to help us be our better selves, is when we as a species have been at our best, right? And so for me right now is hard, right? There's just a lot of weird stuff happening in the world. And I think that, when we really take a look at the long arc of history, like I think there are several inflection points when it comes to technology, um, individual like tolerance for the type of life that someone wants to build, our value for in each other as human beings, um, and our ability to dream bigger, like how technology is going to open up this creative space that I think, to your point, like I've said a few times, like the things that we're going to be able to do when we leverage technology, like we don't even know yet,
It's
right? We haven't
insane.
even used that part of our brains before. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited. So when we put all those things together, um, it's like the inflection point of technology and shift in people's thinking that made Uber possible, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way in hell I'm getting in some stranger's car and I'm going to tell them where I live,
Yeah.
right, at 2 o'clock in the morning. But what shifted was the way we thought about our world as well as the technology shift. And so I think that's where we sit. And so what I'm super excited about and why I think this very bad idea has potential is because there is a shift not only in the technology that's available to us, but in the way that we think about technology and how we're using it. And so I think it's just going to make so many things just like amazing and opportunities that we never even saw coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, excited that you're playing a really, significant part in that. And I hope you guys are ringing the NASDAQ bell next year because you've placed 2 million people and
Thank you.
solved this problem. But bigger note, like hopefully in the near term, we're all getting back to work and we need
Yeah,
a good way to find jobs to do that. So
that's
good to
right.
see one of the faces that's putting that together.
Thank you.
Um, how do people, so outside of showing up at your house like an Uber driver, how do
Right.
people get in touch with you or connect with you if they want to or seeking mentorship or want to help with Clara?
Yeah. So if they're interested in working with us from a technology perspective, they can either find me on LinkedIn or I probably shouldn't put my email. I mean, can I? No. Okay.
No.
Don't do the.
You can, but don't.
I'm
Don't do
such a trusting human being. My husband would be
it.
like, "What the hell did you just do that for?" But you
Yeah,
can find me on LinkedIn for sure.
yeah,
I think I'm the only Natasha Nuytten out there in the world, especially spelled the way my name is.
yeah.
But yeah, would love to do that. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, you can check out our website. There's a lot of information there too, just about how we think about things. Um, so yeah, that would be great. And like, I'm always eager to learn. I love talking through bad ideas, seeing how we could
Yeah.
solve things. So that would be great. And then I like to be helpful. So if I can be helpful to you or anyone in your community, I'm down. So let me know.
For sure. Well, this is a huge start. This is really fun to talk through, to hear your perspective, hear your story. Um, hear you talk about the distance you travel over the course of your career. I think that's something people don't discuss enough. And the fact that you're building a whole platform that's making it a measure is amazing. So this was a
Thank
lot of fun. I wish the idea was better, but I think we took it
you.
on its own journey,
We
um,
did.
and this will be a fun one to publish.
Thank you. I love what you're up to. I love that. I do really like listening to this podcast. I learn something every time I listen to one of your episodes. And I also I think you've got some good energy as a human being. So I'm grateful that you're out in the world doing stuff and
It's from the
making it
hair.
better for
It's
people.
just has to
It's
come
just in
out
there.
somewhere.
I
Uh,
love it. So
thank you
thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Natasha.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.